You're listening to the Sports Circus, and I'm Mike Golick.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Today's show is brought to you by Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker and the rib maker. He's going to tell you everything about everything I just said. Go ahead, young man.
All right. Well, you can first find me on my TikTok at Al Bubba Baker 111. On the other platforms, it's just plain Al Bubba Baker, except on X. You just go Bubba's Q60. That's Bubba's Q60. And I have to tell you who I am, because it's occurred to me that if you're 40 or less, you won't even remember me. You probably weren't paying attention to the NFL. I am actually the single season, not only sack record holder, but if I'm the sack record holder, wouldn't that make me the leading sack holder for rookies? Oh, I don't know. According to the NFL math, maybe not. But that's who I am. And I'm a guy that when I give it to you straight, I want to make it as simple as possible because there's a lot of intricate things going on in the National Football League. And I want to simplify it that when you walk away from the game, you can say, aha, Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker, and the rib maker helped me to understand the game better. That's who I am, Sal.
All right, that's good stuff. And folks, listen, not only is he really good in football, obviously the numbers are what they are, and someday they'll actually get the numbers right? And that's coming, whatever. But the reality is that this guy knows just a little bit about barbecue and barbecue ribs. You know what, Al, everybody doesn't know, so why don't you tell everybody all about your experience, what you do, you can't say how you did it, but tell everybody and get their mouth watering because they're getting hungry right now.
Well, let me just tell people this. I am not just a former football player. I'm an inventor. My family and I own the only 2 barbecue meat patents in the world. Getting a patent for food is the same as a flying pink elephant. That's how rare it is. And I got to tell you guys my secret, how I did it. I called the United States Patent and Trademark Office for 2.5 years every morning at exactly 8 o'clock. I set my alarm, I got up and I called because every 6 months they switch. And that's just so I can share with you the importance of persistence. You can be good at something, you can be smart, you can be bigger, you can be stronger, you can be faster, but not everybody has the staying power. So for 2.5 years, I got up and the first thing I did in the morning was I called United States Patent and Trademark Office. And I said, hi, my name is James Baker. That's my legal name. And I said, I'm the guy that submitted for the patent to take the bones out of the slab of ribs. And of course, I'd get somebody to go, what? That's never going to happen. And they'd hang up on me. And so it took me just 2.5 years of calling every day. And my point to you is if you want anything in life, you've got to be persistent and you've got to stay with it. You can't just hope it happens. And we'll talk about that today in terms of the game.
Yeah, well, hoping it happens is one thing, but when you're dealing with a fixed game, I'm sorry, folks, when you're dealing with... Oh, get out of here. Come on, man. Now, listen, there's so many things, and I'm going to give you one.
By the way, I like St. Louis ribs. You know, you're a man of your word.
Yeah.
I like mine raw. St. Louis ribs, and I want to share something with you in the rib business. You know, a 2.5 and down, that's a rib that's small. They cut off the bones and it's trimmed. They've taken the skin off the back. I only want one slab, so I can call that the Sal slab.
Why don't you just frame it, right? Freeze dry it, whatever you do, put it up on the wall.
I think
This is the one that I won from Sal the bookmaker.
Raw, and see how long it takes it to smell down here in this Florida.
You're right.
And then when I have company, I can say, you smell that smell? That's the Sal Tuzzolino. That's my man Sal. That's Sal's ribs that he sent to me. And I just thought I'd dry rub it and just let it go bad on the wall to the next Super Bowl.
Listen, I've only lost one bet to another person on this show. I'm in my 8th year, mind you. Okay, listen to this. So, and I have to tell you this, my percentage on picking games is ridiculous because I follow the money. Right. Okay. But there was a movie script written many months ago, and of course we saw the movie that was on Super Bowl Sunday. Anyway, the point is, only one other time I lost, and I lost a case of red vines. I love red vines. Red vines are the official currency, by the way, of the Sports Circus, and it has been for the last 7+ years. I lost in an improbable possibility to my old baseball guy and buddy, and that would be Jock Jones. And Jock, he's a player with the Minnesota Twins and the Cubs and this, that, and the other. We were talking about something baseball. I forget what the heck it was. It was a playoff game or something. Anyway, something stupid. But he wanted grapevines instead of red vines, which I like them both. I mean, I like all those vines. Anyways, the only other time I lost, and it had to be 6 years ago, that I've ever lost in any of these bets on the Sports Circus. So for you, congratulations. And that's it. You only get a very quick applause. That's it.
I would have enjoyed playing with you, Sal. I love it. Hey, listen. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, because I'd like to take some stock in it about the Super Bowl, okay? I want to congratulate the players, not the NFL, on being the most watched event in the history of TV ever. That's what Sunday game was. And the players deserve the credit because they're the actors out there, and they're the ones that are putting on, especially my man Travis Kelce. And yeah, Andy Reid gets a little bit of it. But up to that point, we'll talk about that. Up to that point, he had only caught one ball for 1 yard.
Right.
And some might say that ignited the team, that little bump. And big old Andy looked like he was about to go down. He don't look like he could take much of a hit.
And you know what? From all the commercials we see on him on TV, grabbing food from people, you would think he would.
Hamburgers.
Right. You would think it would be harder for him to go down, but it looked like he was going to go down. Right? I was going to say, Reed is down for the count. Right? I was going to do one of those. Yeah. He really looked like it, but whatever.
Yeah.
Look, I
thought it was funny.
It was funny. But at the same time, I saw that as a little bit disrespectful too, though.
You thought it was disrespectful by Kelce to bump him, or did you think it was disrespectful for Kelce to come to the sideline and say, "You haven't thrown me the effing ball. I'm wide open"?
It's the way he did it is disrespectful, in my opinion. I'm not alone on that one. A lot of people feel the same way. I don't think he should have gotten in his coach's face, let alone bumped him, because I'll tell you what, in baseball, by the way, if you even touch the umpire, you're ejected. Just like that.
Okay. Let's talk about this for 1 second.
You have 2 minutes before we go to break. Go ahead.
I said 1 second. I'm only going to take this 1 second to say this.
Your time is up.
In the heat of the moment, I've seen Larry Bird, I've seen Michael Jordan, I've seen Steph Curry, I've seen several players, because I was, more of an NBA fan than I was an NFL fan, say, give me the effing ball so I can win the game. And I've seen them miss these shots. So I look at it like this. After that, Kelce caught 7 balls for 93 yards.
6.
I don't know, maybe and 96 yards.
No,
96.
Six balls for all those yards.
6 more. Well,
because that put him over the over and under, which was 6.5. How convenient.
Okay. I didn't go there. But what I'm saying to you is, at that point, with 2 minutes and some change left in the second quarter, up to that point, Dre Green, what's Dre's last name? Greenlaw had helped. Because I feel bad about seeing him blow his Achilles like that. I've seen that before. But I just want to make this point. Had he not done that, I don't think they would have won the game. I believe that. I believe he woke Andy up and said, let me get him the ball, because from that point on, they got him the ball. But I know Greenlaw was out of the game. And his backup, Justin. Hey, listen, Warner and Greenlaw made every tackle that the 49ers destroyed the line of scrimmage. They should have won the game. That's all I'm going to say to that. With the way they played on defense, they should have won the game.
Okay, all right.
Except for a guy named Jake Moody.
All right.
That was his fault that field goal got blocked in the fourth quarter. That was his fault.
Okay, well, we'll get into that in the next. We're going to get into that in the next segment.
That was the kicker's fault. I hate that.
Right.
All you got to do is kick the darn ball, and he kicked the ball, and the guy didn't even jump. He had no vertical lift whatsoever. He just put his hand up. Jake Moody lost the game. He's a kicker.
Okay.
All you got to do is kick the darn ball.
Okay, all right. Now we're going to break, but I'm going to leave everybody with this right now. Because I recently saw, and I aired in the last 10 seconds there, I aired a video that I saw, just the audio feed. People could check it out on Pick Your Favorite Social Media. And it was Arian Foster, apparently, talking about scripted games. Every game in the league is scripted. Arian Foster, for years. This was on Facebook. That's where I saw it. Back here in a few minutes on the Sports Circus, folks. Lots more to come. We're going to pick up on that in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America, with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at 702-799-9935. Again, 702-799-9935. Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. 800-320-2751. That's 800-320-2751.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049 for the last time. That's 800-950-2049.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. By the way, folks, that stands for All Ages Media Programming Television. If you're looking to maybe produce your own show, maybe your own podcast. Of course, everybody watching on TV can see me do the air quotes because there's 3 million of them out there right now. Well, guess what, folks? If you're looking to produce, maybe broadcast, distribute, whatnot, get that show out there, contact AMP TV. Info at AAMP.TV, info at AAMP.TV. They can help you with broadcast, editing, production, distribution. They basically do it all. They've been doing it all for us for many, many years here at the Sports Circus. And of course, a nice round of applause for them. And a big welcome back to everybody listening in and watching on television and radio. Of course, our friends on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Our friends over in Honolulu. Let's see if I can say our friends a few more times, if you know what I mean. That's okay, folks, because everybody is our friends, right? The reality is we're all over the place. CBS Sports, 1500 KHKA over in Honolulu. That's home of the New York Yankees and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Welcome in to everybody over there, everybody in Los Angeles. Thanks for joining us as well, all the way up to Seattle and Denver. You know what? One of our good friends, Don Horn, longtime friend and aficionado of cigars and Ditka Jaws Cigars with the Stars. Check that out. In fact, DitkaJawsCigars.com. Great causes to help the retired players that didn't make a bunch of money. They're the pre-93 collective bargaining guys, and maybe their families need help, or maybe the players need help. Who knows? A lot of these guys didn't make a bunch of money. Check them out at DitkaJawsCigars.com. A shameless plug for them because they're friends of ours. Nonetheless, great causes, and of course also for Ron Jaworski's Jaws Youth Playbook. That's a really good one. That helps the at-risk youth. And let's face it, folks, kids need all the help they can get these days. So big props to them as well. And as I was continuing on with our stations, WAUD over in Auburn, Alabama, War Eagle, right? Got to give them a little bit of yeah. And that's we're on at 7 p.m. over there. So, Al, we're carried at different stations at different times and different places, even Atlanta, WDJY, 8 a.m. Monday through Friday. Folks, you can't get away from us. Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Time Warner, and Wow Cable TV, Hotel TV in over 550,000 rooms from coast to coast. Folks, we're back here with Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker, and the rib maker. And we're talking football in the last one, and we're just digging into this ridiculous Super Bowl that we saw with some remarkably moments in there. And I'm going to say the game was compromised. And I'm going to go with what you just said, Al, right before we went to break about the kicker. Okay, now let's think about this for just a moment. Follow along with me, if you will. You have a team that goes up by 3 points, 16-13, kicked the extra point. They would have been up by 14. Now, in the first drive of the game, this same kicker kicked out a 55-yard field goal, whatever the heck it was, right? And those have a lower trajectory. We know that for distance, right? You have to think of geometry at this point. Right or wrong? Yes or no?
Correct.
Okay. So, and these guys, listen, folks, these are professional kickers. That's all they do. They're not required to do anything else. Kick the damn ball. That's it. And score points. That's it. So here you get to an extra point scenario. And this is where things get a little bit dicey outside of that injury from Mr. Greenlaw, right? But let's just say we go back to this extra point attempt. Now, we both know, Al, look, I didn't play your sport. You didn't play my sport, not at these levels, right? But we both know that an extra point where basically the kicker pops it right over the defensive line and kicks a chip shot, right? It is what it is. Yes or no?
It is a chip shot, just like a golf swing.
Perfect. Okay. I'm glad you agree.
Get the ball up in the air.
Exactly. Okay. So why is it when you have a perfect snap, a perfect hold for a professional kicker, that conveniently kicks it at a trajectory for a long-distance 50-plus yard field goal. This is why the kick was blocked, not for any other reason. And as you said, all they basically did was stick their hand up and knock the ball down. And a professional kicker knows, pop it right over the D-line. What is your answer to that?
I don't like to see games in that way. Let me tell you. I don't believe that there's anybody in the grassy knows like you do. I believe he just choked as a kicker. I really believe that. I believe, and it changed the entire game. It changed the complexity in the fourth quarter for him to get it. Maybe it was something that Leo Chanel did. He's a backup linebacker. I didn't see him do any leaping or anything. He just put his hands up. He rushed. I think most of the Kansas City defensive line assumed it was good and they were going to be down by 4. And I blame the kicker. I blame Jake Moody. He's a rookie, and I think it was the
He was 68 for 68.
But let me just say this. That's why people talk about the game being a 6-inch difference, okay? You know what that 6 inches is, Sal? Between the ears. Right. Now, on that stage, I would not assume anything else other than nerves. I would say, yes, he kicked a 55-yarder, maybe because nobody expected him to make it. Okay? I don't know what it is that goes through kickers' mind. I wasn't a big fan of kickers. You know, if we were going to pray and hold hands, and of course my mind was different then. I wasn't a sinner. I would never hold the kicker's hand. Never, because in my opinion, while I was outside practicing in the snow, Matt Barr for the Browns was inside with a heater and drinking the broth, that nasty brown broth that we used to have, the beef broth. It was just those cubes. So my blood pressure is high now.
You should have been drinking the broth, but anyway.
but you know, the kickers didn't come out with us. They went out on their own. They came in when they wanted. So I wasn't a fan of kickers. I feel sorry for the parents out there whose kids are kickers. Let your kid go out for defensive end or something. I really do feel bad for you all. But I'm not a fan of kickers, punters, none of them, unless it's Ray Guy, because he hit the ceiling with his punts. That was something exciting. But I have to tell you this. It changed the world's largest game, watched by 123.4 million people, and it comes down to changing the complex. It's a huge difference for an offense to have to go down and make 3 versus score 7. It changes the calls by the coordinator. And I thought that in the fourth quarter, that game would have been a completely different result. Because the 49ers, first of all, they dominated the first half. They dominated for 50 minutes. And then when they got when that field goal was blocked, it turned into the Pat Mahomes show. And we'll talk about that a little later. But I blame the kicker. If I were a 49er, really, seriously, I probably would have beat him up when the game was over. I'd have been on ESPN, and they'd have said Al Bubba Baker attacked Jake Moody.
Al Bubba Baker, not the quarterback breaker, but the kicker's back breaker. Huh?
Yeah.
Or the kicker's leg breaker.
Yeah, right, break a leg. But, I was really disappointed because the first quarter of the Super Bowl was 0-0 when we all thought it was going to be a shooting match. And that just tells you that defense wins championships. The defense of the 49ers was, like we like to say as defensive line, they were in their butts. They had everything sniffed out. They were keeping Mahomes contained, which was smart. They didn't let him sneak through any holes. I mean, I was cheering on here in my notes. I'm not kidding you. I had said that Bosa, Armstrong, Hargrave, Young, Warner, and Greenlaw are winning the battle up front.
Okay. All right, well, look, here in our last minute or so of the segment, look, we were both very close on the final score. You said it was going to be 27-24 Kansas City. I said it was going to be 26-24 San Francisco. So we were right near the number. Now they conveniently went over, and here's a strange betting phenomenon. For all you bettors out there, from Sal the Bookmaker, I'm going to give you this one for free. The reality is, when you look at the analytics for these games over the years and years and years, and I'm not going to pull these things up. I know from watching these for the last almost 50 years, I can tell you that in most cases, when the favorite wins, they stay under the total. And conversely, when the underdog wins, they go over the total points. This is exactly what happened as I see it. What was the final score, Al?
25-22.
25-22. And so in some casinos, the line, it just depends on from the sports books or whatnot. Some had it at 47.5, some had 47, some had 46.5. And for those that had it at 46.5, this holds true. But it's remarkably consistent. And you can look over football, baseball, basketball, hockey. This is the same metric that happens over and over and over, largely, not all the time, but largely. And it's what? It's a numbers game. So if we understand those historic numbers, we could say, you know what? We can look at just about any game. And Al, between now and your next show here on the Circus, because of course Al is our regular football insider, but Al, I want you to look at the other sports too and just think about what I've just said here, because it's remarkably true. Just kind of casually look through and pick your favorite games or whatever online or whatnot, and just watch and see if those metrics actually hold. Favorite and under, dog and over. All right, folks, we're going to be back here with the great Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker, and the rib maker in just a few moments here on the Circus. Lots more to come. I'm your Ringmaster Sal of the Sports Circus, a primetime, nationally syndicated television, radio, sports, and entertainment show. The Sports Circus covers topics others are too scared to talk about. There's no other primetime show like it on here that'll punch you in the face and you'll beg for more. Join me, Hall of Famers, world champions, and all-star celebrity guests for chaos and controversy here on Libsyn and all podcast platforms, plus thesportscircus.com. Remember, folks, it's a circus and we prove it every day.
Hello Americans, it's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
If you served in the Marine Corps, by now you know about the contaminated water problem at Camp Lejeune. If you were stationed or worked at Camp Lejeune from 1953 to 1987, you probably have a lot of questions. We have some answers. You could be entitled to compensation. Billions of dollars are being allocated to pay for damages to anyone stationed at Camp Lejeune during that time. Unfortunately, it appears that officials may have known the contaminated water problem existed and did little to protect their men. The Semper Fi code was not honored. If you or someone in your family has developed a serious illness, including various forms of cancer, call this Camp Lejeune legal support line right now. You can't turn back the clock and change what happened, but you can certainly call right now and learn your rights as a Marine. Here's the number.
Call 800-335-7196. 800-335-7196. That's 800-335-7196. Paid for by Legal Alert Line.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-296-1209. 800-296-1209. That's 800-296-1209.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP.TV. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guest, our prior guest, our recorded shows, which are podcasts recorded in full, available on all podcast platforms. Yet we are a regular terrestrial radio and television show, in case you're keeping score. Also, at thesportscircus.com, make sure you check out our partners. Lots of great partners have been with us since the very beginning, back in 2016, when the show first came on. One of those is the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. csncoyotes.com for the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. And by the way, folks, you know, baseball season is here, and the College of Southern Nevada baseball team is arguably one of the best JUCO baseball programs in the nation, and I cannot tell you how many major league players have come through that stadium down in the Henderson campus right here in Las Vegas. In fact, the first game every year, there's 20 or 30 scouts from all the big league clubs. They're all there because they know that these kids are good. In fact, Bryce Harper went to school there too. Of course, we'll give Bryce a very quick round of applause. And but the reality is, great players have been produced from that program. Nick Garitano's doing a great job, and he's one hell of a coach. Just one of those players coaches. And you know, Bubba, we know a little bit of something about players coaches now, don't we?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Talk about players coaches, and also I want you to mention somewhere in this mix your quarterback IQ as a player.
Okay. Let's go and talk about that player's coach. I played for one head coach. His name was Bud Carson. He was the orchestrator of the Steel Curtain. He was an ex-Marine, and his philosophy was that we were all grown men. In fact, he had a saying. I love this saying. I was a kid at the time, but I was a young man, I should say. I was probably 28, 29, still drinking, drinking alcohol as much as you can. That just came along with the territory. Thought of it somewhat of a anesthetizer, or a pain relief. That's how we justified it. And Bud used to say, if you go out with the boys, you better get up with the men. And he didn't care about how you lived. All he cared about was how you played on Sunday. Bud was the kind of guy. Here's another thing that a player's coach would do. He'll come to a veteran. When I was there, I was in my 11th year. And Bud would come to me and say, hey, how's your legs? And I'd say, my legs are great. Because I had learned, never say your legs are sore or tired. That's your game. That's your business. Your business. As soon as you hear it upstairs, your legs are going, you're gone. And so I would say to Bud, I'd say, man, my legs feel great. Of course they did, right? But you know what Bud would say? Bud would say, hey, you don't have to play that game with me. Why don't you just sit out this one? It'd be a Wednesday practice, offensive day. He expected me to be on the field defensive day and not on Friday on special teams. And he preserved my career. Now, the opposite of that is coaches like Marty Schottenheimer you get to the playoffs and he'd lock you up like dogs, like animals. I mean, that was just his way, and that's why we never won a championship. On to my thoughts about what I consider to be players, or should I say it specifically, a quarterback's IQ. I watched the game for a second time, and I want to tell you this. I saw something specifically in that first quarter when the Chiefs could not run. I think they gained a total of 11 yards in the whole first quarter, right? They went into the second quarter. Checo had run the ball, I think it was 8 times for 11 yards. And you can't keep that average. It's so minuscule. But I happened to notice something the second time. I happened to notice Pat Mahomes checking both ends, made tackles down inside the line of scrimmage. They crashed. I'm watching to see if he did anything. It was almost as if he had a pencil and paper and he licked his pencil and wrote it down. I didn't see anything in the second quarter. And that made me start to think about quarterbacks that I played against, quarterbacks that I've watched over the last week, Peyton Manning type, the Aikman type. And here's what I came up with. Mahomes has a skill set that no one else has. He processes the entire field as the game is moving at warp speed. And I noticed, they've got that sound in their helmets, right? The only time he goes to the sideline is when Andy calls him. He runs the field. I saw him do checkdowns. I saw him move. And I'll tell you what's proof of it. What's proof of it is when they had that 4th and 1, and you guys call it what you want. I call it the triple threat. He came out there. He saw the defensive end had crashed. He saw that the linebacker had gone out with Kelsey, and he kept the ball. He could have pitched that ball not to risk himself in harm's way. He did that twice. Both times he did it at the perfect time, and he escaped as a quarterback. Now, why am I saying this to you? Because I think it's his IQ. Have you ever seen his body? He's got a dad body. His body looks like mine. He's got titties. Can I say titties on the air? He has titties. I mean, Mahomes is not built like Anthony Richardson. Did I just get us in trouble? I'm sorry, but he does. He has breasts like my wife. And he's built round, so it's up here. It's his mentality. And this is what I want to say to you. The number one quarterback, the guy that's won 3 Super Bowls in 5 years, is Mahomes. Then Lamar Jackson, I saw, and we're talking about working within the scheme, not how smart they are, but this football IQ. You come up, I throw the ball behind you. Defensive end crashes, I keep. All right? And then this is my list. So there's Mahomes, and then there's a large gap. Then there's Lamar Jackson. Then there's another small gap. And then there's Brock Purdy, Josh Allen, Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, C.J. Stroud, a rookie got in there, Justin Hubert, Jordan Love, and then there's the rest of the bunch, and then there's 2 rookies, Bryce Young and Will Levis, and I don't think it's fair to put them in that bunch because they haven't had a chance to evaluate the NFL. What I'm saying is his football IQ is the reason they win. It's because he knows when to do what needs to be done at the perfect time. Again, the scramble straight up the middle. He hadn't scrambled all day. He saw it open. He saved it. That's all I'm saying. I said all that just to say he's able to see something in the first quarter with all that other stuff going on, and then he chalks it up because remember, he has that triple threat, right? And as a quarterback, he could pitch it right away. He didn't. He read it. He knew that Bosa was going to close hard because that's his job. And he read it and he set it up and he used it once in fourth quarter and once in the overtime. That's kind of hard not to. If you go back and you see the game a second time, you can see he made a note of it. And to me, that's his football IQ. That's why he's the best.
What I wanted to see was in the overtime, I wanted to see San Francisco go for it when it was 4th and goal. I think they had it on the 4-yard line. And there's a reason for that. In my opinion, I wanted to see, look, first of all, Mahomes is going to get the ball. And he's going to march downfield. It is what it is. But here's the thing. If they score the touchdown, fine, then Mahomes get the ball, whatever. However, if they stopped the 49ers, maybe on the 2-yard line, whatever, now what we have is Mahomes, who has made historically, he's made some bad decisions in his own end zone. If he is in the shadow of his own goalpost, shoveling the ball, doing whatever he does creatively, I would rather say, look, you're going to beat us by going all the way down at least 50, 60 yards, whatever the heck it is. You got Harrison Butker, you got a great kicker. But reality is you're going to have to get out from here without making a mistake in your own end zone. Now, he has been known to take safeties, and I would have thought that it was a very reasonable possibility that under all that pressure and overtime in the Super Bowl, that somebody would make a mistake in their own end zone rather than giving the ball to this guy in a safe place and letting him go march downfield anyway. What do you think? Real quick, take 30 seconds and we got to go to break.
Yeah, I don't think they had much choice. After Moody had missed that field goal, I think they were under the gun, and I believe, unlike Dan Campbell, I don't think that his name just eluded me, Kyle Shanahan. I don't think Shanahan has the gonads to go for it on 4th down.
Do you think that would have been a good decision? Is that a good decision or not a good decision, given all those metrics of what I just said?
No, I think the decision, he didn't have any choice. He needed to go for it because it was the Super Bowl, and they lost as a result of it. That's why when you get to the Super Bowl, you got a whole off season to second guess it. You go for it.
Right.
Dan Campbell, that's it.
Yeah, Campbell would have went for it for sure, but I think the math, if you look at all the metrics around it, it made sense to actually go for it instead of giving Mahomes the ball in a safe place where he can just go march 20, 30 yards, get a few first downs, call it a day. But at the end of the day, they didn't do that. They lost the game, and unfortunately, I lost a rack of ribs to Al Baker. Anyway, folks, we're going to be back here in just a few minutes on the circus for the final segment, and I'm going to let him chew on those ribs for just a moment here, and we'll be back. Don't go anywhere. Last word to come.
I'm going to eat them raw.
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-476-6087. 800-476-6087. 800-476-6087. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details. Can your IRA stand up to the next financial crisis that our top economists are saying is at our doorsteps? By allocating a percentage of your IRA into physical gold and silver with a tax-free rollover, you can diversify and safeguard your holdings from turbulent markets and economic downturns by putting your IRA back on the gold standard. Find out how to safeguard your assets with a tax-free rollover with a Genesis Gold IRA, the only IRA that can hold physical precious metals. Call now for your free gold and silver report. Protect your IRA today with one simple phone call and learn how to qualify for up to $10,000 in free silver. Call Genesis Gold Group, empowering faith-driven stewardship. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. 800-932-5517. That's 800-932-5517.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Al Bubba Baker, quarterback breaker and the rib maker.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your Ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP.TV. Here to tell you all about Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker, and the rib maker is none other than Al Bubba Baker.
I have a question first, Sal. Who was that dork that brought us back? Who was that guy?
I don't know. I think his name was Al Bubba Baker, the quarterback breaker.
Let me tell you how you can find that guy. You can go to TikTok and put in Al Bubba Baker 111, and that'll take you to my spot. That's kind of where I live at. On the other platforms, you just go Al Bubba Baker except for X. On X, I'm Bubba's Q60. And again, that's Bubba's Q60 for X or Twitter or whatever you call it. And I'm the guy that played from 1978 to 1990, and I amassed 131 sacks. And I am absolutely proud to be a member of the prestigious 100 sack club. Not a whole lot of guys that are alive that could say they're a member of that club. So thank you.
That is a very, very select group of humans, and you happen to be one of those people. And you know, Al, one day the NFL is going to actually acknowledge all of those and change what they have on the record. Because the crazy thing is, you're a member of the club. They know it. Everybody knows it. But they haven't officially changed the records, because once they get that done, then Michael Strahan's 22.5 will go bye-bye.
Well, I have to tell you this. What I saw this last week was not really encouraging. I saw a guy by the name of Randy Gradishaw go into the Hall of Fame. Nothing against Randy, but I think Randy retired in like 92?
That's about right.
Okay. So you look at 32 years later, I'm 67. Let's say 20 years from now, 87, I think I'll be in a diaper and I won't even know that they're even talking. And you know, I'm joking about it, but sadly, I saw them do that to a guy, an offensive guard who blocked for Jim Brown named Gene Hickerson. He literally was on his way to Hawaii, where the Pro Bowl was, to be acknowledged as a Hall of Famer. And he should have been in there long time ago, right? Because he was phenomenal. If it wasn't for him, Jim Brown wouldn't have run that toss 38. Both ways, okay? They flip-flopped him, by the way. The Cleveland Browns sent their plays in with the guard, and wherever Gene went, that's where Jim Brown went. Everybody knew that. They couldn't do anything about it. But he got on that plane. He had an anxiety attack. They landed an emergency over Kansas City, and that man never, ever got a chance to see himself go in the Hall of Fame because he had dementia.
Right.
And he went on to, you know, and to me, to be honest with you, if it's done that way and my family gets to enjoy it posthumously, fine. Because the truth is my numbers are Hall of Fame numbers, I'm not going to stand up on the building. I'm certainly not going to break my arm patting myself on the back. It just is what it is. It was so many great pass rushers. And here, one thing in the defense of the system, I don't like that the media is doing all this big picking now. I don't think that's right, that the writers have the power that they have. It should be players, coaches, and fans that have the bulk of the control. 'Cause fans follow the game better than writers do. That's just my honest opinion. I don't have a problem with writers. Just they have too much power now when it comes to voting on, Hall of Famers for life.
Well, so
I don't feel that's right.
So Al, last week when I was at the Dick Kajaw's Cigars for the Stars event, and it was nice to see the guys that I know and meet a lot of guys that I didn't know, and I spent a little time talking to the great Lawrence Taylor. And, he's one of those guys. He obviously belongs there. And, we think of his line, right? You think of the other guys, right? And so my good friend Leonard Marshall is part of that. Now, Leonard is the only one out of the four guys that are not in the Hall. They all have 2 Super Bowls, right? But you have more sacks. For example, Harry Carson. You have a lot more sacks than Harry Carson. Harry's got 2 rings. You have no rings. And I think that's wrong. Harry's a great guy. But I would select somebody with your credentials before I would select Harry Carson. Or, let's see, there's 4 guys. Who is the other guy? Let's see, Carson. We're missing somebody here. All right, so we had Taylor.
Up front.
Taylor, Marshall, Carson, and
Banks, Carl Banks.
Carl Banks.
That are in the Hall. Banks.
Yeah, Carl Banks. And again, nothing against Carl Banks. I think he had like 26 sacks, whatever the hell it was. My point is, because he's got 2 rings. Now, let's take that same argument, right? Now, you don't have rings, but you got way more sacks. But now think about this. You take a guy who I really like, Jim Jeffcoat. Jim's a wonderful guy. And Jim's in the 100 Club, just like you. And he's got 2 rings. And why isn't Jim in the club? Meanwhile, Carl and Harry are in there. It makes no sense. It's to me, it's a cat show. It's a popularity contest.
Oh, well, no. Let me explain this to you. The same reason that sacks became official in '82, it's New York. It's one of the biggest markets. I was in Detroit and in Cleveland. In my heyday, I was in Detroit and I was in St. Louis, where you and I know the baseball Cardinals. That was the big excitement. Right. That was the Ozzie Smith years. And, they were winning ball games. And quite frankly, we were stepchildren. My first year moving over to the left side for the St. Louis Cardinals, I had 13 and a half sacks. And I should have been in the Pro Bowl again for a 4th time. Or I should have stayed 5th because I played as an alternate my 4th year. But I should have been picked to the Pro Bowl. I did not go because there were guys in bigger markets. And again, America's team on their defensive line, they had 3 people, Too Tall Jones, Harvey Martin, and the Manster, Randy White. All 3 of those guys made it to the Pro Bowl. And, no offense to any of the guys that go. But again, that was when we still saw voting by coaches and players. And then that's when you build the fraternity. That's when they went the whole writer's way. That was supposed to solve that problem. And now we have the internet and we have the people voting, and we have people voting more than once. That's never happened before in the United States. But my point to you is that should, if we can do analytics, if we could say how many times Dan Campbell is going to go for it on 4th down, if his people up in the booth can tell, because folks need to know that's where going for it on 4th down comes from. It's not Dan Campbell. He's hired people who are called quality control people, and they say, yes, they've done this, they've done that, let's go for it based on these analytics. That helps him make that decision in 40 seconds. He has to make it in about 10 seconds to get it to his quarterback coach, and it gets into the player. To the quarterback. So my point here is how they pick has a lot to do with how many position players are up. I'm never going to go in the Hall of Fame when you got a guy like Julius Pepper who just came off the field. He's a first-time ballot guy. He deserves to be in there. There's no question about it. I question some of what we call the old-timers. You know, I question that. I don't know how that's based. I don't think there is a formula to it when you get to that point, because I'm beyond my 25 years after my 5 years of being eligible. I was eligible, I think, 4 times. My name came up. I was never voted into the last 25. So, I mean, you have to live with the way it is. I will tell you, as of late, they have done some things. It doesn't involve me, but some people have gone into the Hall. Randy Gradishaw should have been in the Hall of Fame. I don't know how they missed that, other than the fact that there's been some great linebackers. Am I making any sense? There's been some linebackers that are first ballot linebackers that played in the middle. I mean, Singletary. You know, we talked about our good friend Urlacher. He's sure to be a Hall of Famer. I mean, Urlacher tackled everything that moved on the field. He was a really good football player. You know, and again, if I had some questions, I would question whether or not, if a guy is involved and he stays visible, you're in the media, I think that keeps you alive. So that's how I see it. I've never in my life, Sal, placed value on whether or not I go in the Hall of Fame, if that's going to change my life. What's going to change my life is me growing as a man. That's what changes your life.
Okay, so in our last couple of minutes of the segment here of the show, I will say this. Look, baseball has its line where it says, all right, you qualify, you don't qualify, for the most part. It's not always, it's not perfect. Football has a similar thing with this 100-sack club, right? For the most part. But it should be. If you're there, you got to get there. It is what it is. Baseball, if you hit 300, you hit 300 home runs, you have 3,000 hits. If you have 3,000 hits, you're in. If you have 100 sacks, you should be in. There shouldn't be another question about it. It's hard enough to get one, let alone 100 or more.
Well, I'm the only one in the top 20 with over 100 sacks, right? 131. Lawrence Taylor's had 132.5 or something to that effect. The unofficial, and I'm the only guy that's not in the Hall of Fame. I don't know, maybe I ticked off somebody. I'm sure I did. A lot of people, because just as I told you, I would have said something to that kicker. I did. I said things to Gary Danielson like, hey, Scoop, you got to throw it to the guys in blue. The guys in blue, that's the guys on our team. So at this point, I'm going to leave it to the people that vote and the writers and everybody else.
Well, and that's really all we could do at this point. So unfortunately, this great career with, let's face it, all those bruised up quarterbacks, right? All those quarterbacks would say, you know what, that guy belongs in the Hall. All right, I need one answer from you very quickly. Out of all the quarterbacks that you've had a chance to take to the turf, who was your favorite to hit?
Oh, my gosh, Theismann. I absolutely hate him. In fact, if I see Theismann in the airport this weekend, I'm going to hit him again. I absolutely hated him, and I still do. God forgive me for this. Yeah, he was the worst. He knew every referee by name, and he was a Notre Damer. I did not like Theismann, still don't like him.
And I'm an anti-Notre Dame guy myself. It is what it is, folks. I'm sorry. I'm a Boilermaker. It is what it is. And let's face it, anybody who was playing Notre Dame was my favorite team on that particular day. All right, folks, that's going to do it for today's show with the great Al Bubba Baker. Of course, big round of applause for him, talking about ribs, talking about football, talking about all kinds of good things. IQ is a really big thing, and we're going to catch up with Al on his next show very soon. And make sure you watch the schedule, folks, because we are going to have another fun conversation, and we'll talk about probably the ribs that I owe, Maraca ribs. All right, Al, for you and for myself, I'm your Ringmaster. We'll see you next time, probably in about 23 hours from now. So long, everyone.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes to the IRS or state, don't worry. I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. In today's economy, the IRS has released a variety of new rules and is offering more flexible terms to help Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. If you apply today, we may be able to lift your wage garnishments and release a freeze on your bank assets or business. Our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, they can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your IRS debt for far less than what you owe. Pick up your phone right now and call us for a free $500 IRS tax review. Don't wait. Here's the number.
Call right now. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. 800-950-2049. For the last time, that's 800-950-2049.